Number two, it is one of his investigations. Okay, let me see first the chat. Okay. All right. Number two, in one of his investigations, Alexander Fleming, Alexander Fleming noticed that the bacteria growing on agar did not grow next to a mold that was growing on the same plate. This review was submitted be producing a substance that kills bacteria. The statement is best described as A, conclusion, B, a
Dong,
hypothesis.
excuse sa Rods,
Yes.
kanang wala makita ang number 2, ang i-appear rin ang 1. Wa siya
Wait,
ma-slideshow.
okay, ako sang kanong ha. Okay. Kani daw, number two, is it seen? No. Is it not
Wala,
seen?
wala.
Wala.
It was not seen here in the screen.
Okay. My screen is... Okay, I will be... Wait, mabalik ko dong ha.
Sige lang, sige lang.
Okay, is it... Kita na?
Sige, is next ko no, next slide ko na palihog.
Number
Okay
two.
na, kita na, okay na.
Guidance counselor. C is accompanying. D, on a field trip. Or letter E, no error. So based on that sentence, please identify the error. So in this particular question, you have to be particular on the subject and the verb. Usually, anha na siya kadaghanan nga error or even on some phrases in the sentence. So in this particular item number 3, you are going to identify the error. Please type on the chat your answers. If you have there. Teachers, B, guidance counselors. Letter C is accompanying. The letter D, on a field trip. Or letter E, no error. So in this item number 3, it is letter C. Why? The teachers as well as the guidance counselor, there we have this in ruling of subdivision agreement of what we call intervening expression. Our main verb or the subject of the verb in this example are the teachers, as well as the guidance counselor. Though it's nearer from the verb, it is not the main subject because it intervenes only our main subject. Therefore, when a sentence has an intervening expression, an intervening subject, we will focus our mind on the first or the prior subject, which is the beginning one, the teachers. Therefore, it should be the teachers as well as the guidance counselor are accompanying the students on a field trip. So it is not is accompanying. You might be wondering, is it correct? Kay tungod guidance counselor? No, because our main verb there, our main subject rather, kay teachers. Teachers are plural, therefore are accompanying the students on a field trip. So that is intervening. Item number 4, please interact by answering on the chat box your responses to the questions given. Yes. Number 4, he was the first to take an initiative and design the communication model. So the remaining items under item number 25, these are under purposive communication. as one of the subjects under general education, so purposive communication. So he was the first to take an initiative and design the communication model. What is the answer? A. Plato, B. Aristotle, C. Socrates, or letter D. Karl Marx. What is the answer? Is it Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, or Karl Marx? All right, the answer is letter B, Aristotle. Okay, letter B is the answer of item number 4. So Aristotle is the first one to take an initiative and design the communication model. So we will know the different models later. Item number 5. These are graphic representations of the proposed elements included in the communication process, which shows the relationship between elements. And later you will know the elements of communication. But this item are talking on graphic representations. So what do you think are these graphic representations? A. Communication models. B. Communication symbols. C. Communication types. Letter D. Communication charts. Okay, in this item number 5, these graphic representations are called communication models. There are various communication models under this purposive communication, under the topic communication. So the answer is letter A, communication models. Number 6, what happens to a communication when the sender and the receiver apply different meanings to the same message? What would happen? No, if the two people are talking and they have different interpretations and they have a conversation, what would happen to the communication? A, letter A, there will be no communication. Letter B, the communication may succeed or fail. Letter C, there will be a misunderstanding that leads to breakups. Letters G, the communication might not exist. What do you think? Mom Teresa answered letter B. It means the communication may succeed or fail. What would happen if both the sender and the receiver apply different meanings to the same, the same message? Shamira answered letter C. Letter D, and then the answer is you apply different meanings to the same message. It means there is a particular topic that you want to communicate, but the both of you have different interpretations. So what would happen? It is letter C. There will be a misunderstanding that leads to breakups. No, you may not be able to understand anymore because you have different interpretations. So that is letter C. You got it. Some of you got it right. Okay. Number 7. This type of public speaking highlights important and voluminous information that cannot be solely delivered by memory. This is also done if the speaker is not around and has only been represented by another person. For this example, for this item number 7, you're given a speech and you're going to deliver it by memory. And of course, it is a long speech. And for example, your president or your school principal is not around, and you as the faculty president is in charge on behalf of him or her to deliver that information. So what do you call this type of public speaking? A, on-the-spot speech. B, read speech. Letter C, oration. Or letter D, extemporaneous speech. Please type in your answer for this item number 7. on the spot speech, read speech, oration, or extemporaneous speaking. What do you think is the answer? Okay, for number 7, the answer is read speech. Why? Because as based on the question, it's voluminous, meaning it is a long one. Just give a long piece of information that you need to deliver, and then you are not the one who is assigned. It's your someone or higher than you. Then you are being represented. So just read it, and that is read speech. Okay, so that the advantage of read speech is that you cannot be able to miss any points or important points from the information that you're going to deliver. So the answer is read speech. Number 8, this type of public speaking requires the two opposite sides to solve a problem through arguments and arrive at a consensus. A, extemporaneous. B, debate. C, oration. Or letter D, impromptu speaking. What do you think is the answer? Type of public speaking where the two opposite sides, we have this affirmative, the negative sides, because there's a proposition and the need to solve a problem through arguments and arrive at a consensus. Michelle is letter B. How about the others? Please type in your response. Teresa, letter B. Of course, in this type of public speaking, the answer is debate. Okay, it is very obvious because when you talk about debate, there are two opposing teams given with a proposition, and whether you affirm or you negate, and then you arrive with a consensus at the end of it. So that is a debate. It is not extemporaneous, it is not also oration, it is not also impromptu speaking. That is a debate. All right, number 9. You are thinking about a lot of problems and you cannot even talk well to your friends. What type of noise is observed? This is what you call a communication barrier. No, you're talking about a lot of problems. You are preoccupied and you cannot even talk to your friends. What type of noise is being observed? A, semantic. B, physical. C, psychological. Or D, physiological. Is it A, semantic, B, physical, D, psychological, or D, physiological? What do you think is the answer of this item? You answered letter D, physiological. When you are preoccupied, it pertains to our emotions and feelings. Therefore, that is a psychological barrier, letter C. Okay? When we talk about a lot of problems, you are preoccupied, you cannot think properly, no, your feelings are not stable, your emotions are not stable as well. So the answer is psychological. Okay? Let's proceed to item number 10. The speaker relies any of the memory to deliver his or her speech. Relies only of his or her memory to deliver his or her speech. It's obvious from the question. A, extemporaneous. B, memorized speech. C, oration. D, impromptu speaking. Please type in Michelle, letter B. Shamira, letter B. It's obvious from the question. You got here the keyword memory to deliver his or her speech, and that is memorized speech. Next item, number 11. Which of the following does not belong to the group? This is type of public speaking. A, memorized speech. B, read speech. C, smart talking. Or D, extemporaneous. Which among these options is not included as a type of speech? Correct. The answer is letter C, smart talking. That is not, it does not belong. Memorized speech, read speech, and extemporaneous, impromptu, debate. What else? Those are examples of type of speech, but this example, item number 11, it is not included there, ang smart talking. Right. Number 12, the communication of which the communicator wants his or her receivers to pay attention to and understand, but not change their behavior. Okay? You're giving a certain information to an audience. You would like them to listen attentively and able to understand what you're talking, but your purpose does not change them. You do not persuade or convince them to do something, to act something. A, informative communication. B, persuasive communication. C, argumentative communication. Or letter D, internal. What do you think is the answer for number 12? A, informative. B, persuasive. C, argumentative. Or letter D, internal. You're just giving up information for the audience to understand you, but not to change. You don't convince and you don't persuade. All right, the answer is, of course, informative communication. Good. Next item, number 13. Which of the following does not belong in the group? A, oral. B, oral. C, microphone. Or D, tactile or tactile.
Letter C.
Letter C, microphone. Is it the microphone? The answer is letter D. Why is not included? Tactile is touch, right? Oral and microphone, these are speaking. Okay, oral and microphone. You use microphone to speak. So letter D. Next. The one who delivers the message in the process of communication is the belong. A, receiver. B, noise. C, channel. Or D, sender. The one who delivers the message towards someone. It is what? Correct. The answer is sender. Good. The sender delivers the message through a channel, and then it will be decoded to the receiver so that the receiver will give feedback. That is the process of communication based on a certain model. However, in between delivering the message, there is a barrier, and that is a noise. It could be a physical noise. It could be a physiological, psychological, or an environment noise that hinder the receiver to decode the message properly, what is being meant to be. Therefore, the feedback might not be the feedback might not be accurate. Okay, that is item 14. 15. This refers to the receptive channel of communication, which is realized by the sense of hearing. A, gustatory. B, olfactory. C, oral. D, tactile or tactile. Hearing. Sense of hearing. What is the answer?
Oral.
Sense of hearing. Receptive
Oral.
channel. Sense of channel, it is olfactory. Letter B. Ito ang sense of hearing. Olfactory is, sorry, it's not olfactory. It's It's oral. All right, it's letter C, oral. Kung gitanaw ang item number 11 nga letter C ang tubag. It is oral. Letter C. Correct. Gustatory is our taste. Olfactory is our smell. Oral is hearing. Tactile or tactile is touch. Sorry, it's not letter B. Kaya kung gitanaw ang item nga the next nga ang tubag kay kuan is letter C, oral. You got it right, oral. Next item, Thev easily responded to the message sent by Rose on Facebook. The message in response to Rose's message is called A, reply, B, tweet, C, hug back, or D, feedback. Shamira answered A, reply. Ivy Marie Ramos also A. Of course, it's understood when we talk about the Facebook.
Reply, sir.
It is reply. But in Twitter, that is tweet. Okay, good. So it's letter A. Next, item 17. The power of words, once spoken or written, can never be taken back. What principle of communication is observed? A, communication is powerful. B, communication is an interpretative act. C, communication is irreversible. Letter D, communication is contextual. So once you deliver it, once magawa sa isang bakba, spoken or written, can never be taken back. Shamira, answer letter C. Who else would like to answer? Please type in your answer. So the answer is letters C. Correct, you got it, Shamira. Communication is irreversible. When we talk about irreversible, it cannot be taken back. Therefore, what is the implication? You have to think first before you speak, because it might hurt someone, it might offend someone. So it's implied that it's advised that every time we speak, every time words coming out from our mouth, we have to make sure that it is not you're not tactless, it is not hurtful, the words are not hurtful, because you cannot take them back. Good mabalik, good mabawi, imo na good nang istorya. Okay, that is item number 7. It says that communication is always a remedy for all ills and difficulties. Sometimes it even leads to more misunderstandings and troubles. It is always a remedy for all ills and difficulties. A, communication is irreversible. B, communication is unavoidable. C, communication is a process. Or D, communication is not a panacea. What do you think is the answer for this item number 18? Ganiha, communication is irreversible because it cannot be taken back. But this time, it always a remedy for all ills and difficulties.
Letter B.
The answer is letter D. Communication is not a panacea.
Unsay panacea, sir?
All right, allow me to deepen it. Wait for a while. It means solution. It is meaning it's solution. So communication is not a solution. Okay? Sometimes communication is a remedy, but on the second sentence, sometimes it even leads to more misunderstandings and trouble. So it is not absolutely, communication is not absolutely a remedy. or a panacea or a solution. Okay? So therefore, letter D is the answer. Panacea, another word, that is a solution. Instead of using the word a solution or remedy, you use the word panacea. Okay, bisan pa man, for example, if you have misunderstanding and then advice, sometimes it will be complicated na instead nga magkahiusa, maguli, it will lead more misunderstandings and troubles. Okay? So that is number 18, letter D. Number 19, what communication principle emphasizes the impossibility for people not to communicate? A, irreversible, unavoidable, process, or not a panacea. In this item, sometimes we ignore people not to communicate with them. Sometimes we zipper them out, not to communicate, not to talk with someone.
Letter B.
Correct. Letter B. Communication is unavoidable. When I'm saying is unavoidable, it cannot be avoided. You can really communicate with someone whether you like it or not. Okay? So to wrap up, when we talk about communication is irreversible, once you said it, it cannot be taken back. Therefore, you have to make sure that the words that you are writing or speaking are not, are not offensive. Letter B, unavoidable meaning for this item. It is impossible for you not to communicate, even though the person you ignore it. Letter C is a process, of course. It is a cycle. Letter D is not a panacea. Communication might be a solution, but not all the time it is a panacea. So it can lead to more misunderstandings and troubles if it will not lead to agreement between two or more people. So that is about this communication principle. Number 20, which is not a basic element of communication. A, source. B, destination. C, medium. D, language.
Letter B.
Is it destination, the medium, or the language, which is not a basic? The answer is 20. It is letter D, language.
Language.
Right, it's language. Okay. Source, it's okay. Element, this is element. Medium, of course, it's an element of communication. Language is not a basic element. Sometimes the language is a barrier. Language is a barrier in communication, especially if someone you talk to is not a native speaker of the language you are, then there is really a barrier in communication with that. So there is a cultural barrier in communication. When you're talking to a Korean or to a Japanese, and then you are Filipino but you're good in English, but that person is not that good in English. So the language really is also a problem in communication. 21. It indicates comprehension and can be done through written, verbal, or any other form of action. In this item, A, sender. B, destination. C, feedback. Or D, message. It indicates comprehension and can be done through written, verbal, or any other form of action.
Message. Letter D.
It indicates comprehension. You already you decoded the message coming from the sender of that message. It indicates comprehension and can be done through written. The answer is letter C, feedback. Okay, it's feedback. When there's a feedback because you understand what is being messaged, what is being delivered to you. So it's either a written or a verbal or any other form of action. Okay, it is feedbacking because you understood the message being decoded coming from the sender of the communication. Next item, 22. Which element of communication is the vehicle used to send a message or information? Kani, vehicle used to send a message or information. A, channel. B, feedback. C, receiver. D, sender. Oh, what is your way of delivering the message? Is it through telephone? Is it through social media? Is it through what? It is letter A, channel. Correct. 23. Kani. The decoder transmits the message to the encoder. The encoder, on the other hand, tries to understand the message received. Which statement is correct? A, the first statement is correct while other is not. B, the second statement is correct while the first one is incorrect. Letter C, both statements are correct. And letter D, both statements are incorrect. What do you think is the answer of this situation? What do you think is the answer? What letter? Please respond. The answer is letter. Thank you. Is letter B. The answer is both statements are incorrect. Why? Nagbali na sila. The decoder is not the one who transmits. In the first cycle, the encoder transmits the message to the decoder, and then the decoder, on the other hand, tries to understand the message received. And then feedback goes on and goes on and goes on. That is the communication cycle. So both statements are incorrect. That is letter D, sorry. Nabali na sila, nabali. In the cycle of communication model, it starts from the encoder or the sender, and it's being sent through a channel, and then it's being decoded by the receiver, and then the receiver will give his or her feedback, and then it goes on and on. So that's it. So both statements are incorrect. 24. Feedback is given by the encoder is based on the decoded message received. Which statement is correct? Feedback is given by the encoder. It is based on the decoded message received. Which statement is correct? Okay, feedback is given by the encoder on the first cycle. Is it correct that the feedback is given by the encoder or is given by the receiver or the decoder? Okay, the answer is letter B. The second statement is correct while the first one is incorrect. Next item, last for purposive communication. The CEO of a corporation gives a speech about the first quarter profits to the board members. What is the channel in the communication process? Again, the CEO of a corporation gives a speech about the first quarter profits to the board members. What is the channel in the communication process? A, the first quarter profits. B, the CEO, C, CEO's words and movements, letter D, the board members. Correct, is letter C, the CEO's words and movements. Correct. The CEO is a sender. Okay. The topic there is about the first quarter profits. That is the message to be delivered. But the channel in delivering the first quarter profits are those words and movements by the CEO. And the receiver of that is the decoder or the receiver ato ang board members. So therefore, the channel there is the words and movements of the CEO. Letter C. You got it right. Okay, very good. Item 26 onwards. These are items under professional education. 26. The theme of Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory emphasizes the role of appropriate assistance given by the teacher to accomplish a task. Such help enables the child to move from the zone of actual development, it is not development, it's development, to a zone of proximal development. Such assistance is termed A, competency technique, B, scaffolding, C, active participation, or letter D, collaboration. What is the answer of item 26? Zone of proximal development. All right. Always remember, if live by Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory, when we talk about zone of proximal development, when we help the children to learn because he or she needs guidance, at ang bata kinahanglan og guide sa pagkatun in a subject matter, of course, the zone of proximal development is scaffolding. Letter B. Next, 27. Which of these activities is not appealing to bodily kinesthetic learners? Okay, this is under multiple intelligence. A, making math moves. B, doing simple calisthenics. C, sketching, illustrating events. Or letter D, joining extramural events. Bodily kinesthetic is, using our body for movements. So which of these is not appealing to these kind of learners who are into, using body? All right, letter C, it's correct. Sketching, illustrating events. Now, under multiple intelligences, can you give me that intelligence that talks about sketching or illustrating events? What intelligence is under letter C? If it's not a bodily kinesthetic, but what is it? You can speak? All right. Very good, Edith. It is spatial intelligence. When I talk about spatial intelligence, it's about image, drawing, painting. That learners are good in that particular intelligence. So sketching, illustrating, the architect. 38. Which will be the most authentic assessment tool for an instructional objective in working with and relating to people? A, conducting mock collection. B, home visitation. C, organizing a community project. Letter D, writing articles on working and relating to people. What is the answer? Authentic assessment. Okay, on working with and relating to people. When you talk about authentic assessment, it is a community-based or project-based or output-based wherein you're going to apply it in a real-life situation, and that is authentic assessment. So what is the answer for number 28? The answer is letter C, organizing a community project. Okay, so as what I said, authentic assessment is a real life situation assessment. It is a performance based. For example, for example, if you want to know about COVID cases in a community, so your assessment would be you let your students conduct an interview in the society, and it is authentic assessment. Okay, 29. The following are characteristics of a child-friendly school except for A, exclusive, B, child-centered, C, gender-sensitive, and D, non-discriminating. Exact. Unsay tubag? What do you think is the answer for number 29? Please type in your answer. A, exclusive, B, child-centered, C, gender-sensitive, or D, non-discriminating. Please respond. The answer is letter A. Why? It is not letter B. A child-friendly school should be child-centered. It means the focus of the school is for the improvement of all the learners. Okay? You're doing everything for the child. That's why the child-centered, learner-centered. C, gender-sensitive, of course, that is under in-depth ed mission. Nana sa depth ed mission nato. Nga the school, the depth ed is a gender-sensitive agency. No, regardless of who you are, what is your gender orientation, expression, and identity, you belong. You are our learners, so we will embrace that. And of course, non-discriminating. We should not discriminate anybody, regardless of disability, impairment, and of course, the ability. Everyone is welcome to the school. However, letter A is wrong because we are now inclusive. We have this inclusive education. Okay? So letter A should not be exclusive. It should be inclusive. So timanin na, we have this program in our department that is inclusive education, allowing all learners, regardless of who you are, the disability or the needs, to be placed in a regular or a general education curriculum. So that is inclusion, inclusivity. So the DepEd is embracing such program for all the learners. So exact letter A. Next item. To make the lesson meaningful, systematic, and motivating, teachers' examples should be A, based on higher level skills, B, interesting, aided with illustrations, C, easy, simple, and understandable, the letter D, relevant to students' experience and knowledge. What do you think the teachers should do to make the lesson meaningful, systematic, and motivating? Correct. The answer is letter D. Of course, in order that it's interesting to our learners, it's motivating because ang bata can relate, because you see on the students' experience and knowledge. Once it's relatable, meaning you really get the attention of your students. Okay, they can respond or whatever the activities you are doing because they can relate into those activities. Okay, that is number 30. Number 31. Cooperative learning approach makes use of a classroom organization where students work in teams to help each other learn. What mode of grouping can facilitate the skill and values desired? A, large group. B, homogeneous. C, heterogeneous. Or collaboration. We do collaborative or cooperative learning. It means there is a teamwork in the class. and helping each other to learn. There is no competition there. You help a slow learner by the fast learner. There is what we call, yes, cooperation. The answer is letter C. Heterogeneous. Kasi heterogeneous, diverse learners are there working together to learn. They are not competing. They're helping together to learn. They cooperate and collaborate. They brainstorm for a certain activity they're working on. So therefore, the answer is letter C. Thank you. Good job, everyone. Which one appropriately describes your lesson if you use the cognitive approach? Okay, in this item, we're talking on cognitive approach. Cognitive, A, promotes find out for yourself approach. B, lecture dominated. C, rote learning dominated. Or D, highly directed teaching. So what is this cognitive approach? Is it A, letter B, letter C, letter D? Cognitive approach. Cognitive, you focus on the mental capacity that the students can be able to understand and comprehend your activity in their own learning. So what is that? Okay, correct. Letter Ma'am Shane Jancel Valdez, you are correct. The answer is letter A. Promotes find out for yourself approach. When I say find out for yourself approach, you challenge the learner to discover. No, there's discovery learning. No, that is cognitive approach. You train the learners to think of themselves. No, you are not directing them. Letter D is not the correct answer because when we talk about highly directed teaching, that is teacher-centered. Rote learning also is itinerary, balik-balik lang. Same, letter B, lecture-dominated is teacher-centered. So letter A is cognitive approach. Promotes find out for yourself approach. You got it right, Ma'am Michelle. Thank you. 33. A person who had painful experiences at the hospital may become fearful at the mere sight of the hospital's gate. Which theory can explain this? A, generalization. B, classical conditioning. C, operant conditioning. There, D, attribution theory. What is the answer for this item 33? The answer is it A or is it letter C? How about the others? Okay, Mom Shane, you got it right again. It's letter B. Classical conditioning is stimulus in response. Okay, letter B. And please type in who is the proponent of classical conditioning, stimulus response under behaviorism. Example ato ang katong iro, and then the bell ringing. Then once the dog hears bell ringing, the dog will salivate. It is Pavlov. Very good. So it's classical conditioning. 34. Which is the most reliable tool of seeing the development in your pupil's ability to write? Okay. We're talking on the progress of the learners in writing. A, portfolio assessment. B, scoring rubric. C, interview of pupils. Letter D, self-assessment. Portfolio assessment. Oh, correct. Ma'am Shane, Ma'am CJ, and Shamira, you got it right. So when we talk about development and the progress of our pupils, of course, we compile. I-compile nato ang ilahang mga activities from the very beginning until the end so that we can track the development of the learner and we can evaluate whether that learner really improves or not. So when we talk about compilation of the activities done by the learners, and that is portfolio assessment. Got it right. Thank you. Next, which is a valid assessment tool if you want find out how well you students can speak extemporaneously. Valid assessment tool na ta ha. If you want to find out how well your students can speak extemporaneously. When you say extemporaneous speaking, you give the learner the time to prepare, give them with the topic, and afterwards, after the allotted time, it's the delivery of that. A, performance test in extemporaneous speaking. B, written quiz on how to deliver extemporaneous speech. Letter C, display of speeches delivered. Letter D, writing speeches. What do you think? The answer is letter correct. Letter A, performance test. Good. No? If you want really to know whether our learners can really do extemporaneous, automatically, the valid assessment is really a performance task. Okay, you got it right, Marby, as well. Next, letter number 36. Teacher B uses community-based learning and brings the world into the classroom. What is the philosophical basis for this? 36. A, progressivism. B, social reconstructionism. C, realism. Or D, idealism. Okay? So it is community-based. It brings the world into the classroom because it focuses on what happened in the world. You want your learners to learn the world. All right, you got it right. The answer is social reconstructionism. Imani, progressivism is the interest of the students. That is learning by doing, by John Dewey. Realism is learning through sensory experiences. Idealism is the knowledge, the ideals, the knowledge that can be gained. So the answer is social reconstructionism. You brings the world into the classroom setting. You are letting your students to know what happenings in the world about international policies, COVID-19, because you want that your learners know what happens outside the classroom. All right, social reconstructionism. 37. The students aim to remember everything by heart and gained mastery of the subject learned. What Eastern philosophy is the basis for this? A, Hinduism. B, Buddhism. C, Taoism. Or D, Confucianism. By heart, and the proponent of this one is Mother Teresa. Yes. Correct. You got it right. The answer is Hinduism. Okay. Basta about the heart, gani, you learn you learn by heart. You put your heart in learning. You do everything. So that is Hinduism. And the one proponent of it is Mother Teresa from India. Yes. Next item. 38. It believes that law of karma. It believes the law of karma. What you do to other might go back to you. So what Eastern philosophy is being emphasized? The answer is correct. Buddhism. Hinduism is heart. Okay. Buddhism is law of karma. What comes around goes around. Manina ha? Basta karma, law of karma is Buddhism. Okay. What comes around goes around. If you do good, of course, good things will go back to you. But if you do bad, and then of course, bad things will happen. Another good siya. Hinduism. 39. Kani. Religious rituals in the classroom and in the school programs prove the deep natural religiosity of the Filipinos. What Eastern philosophy is the basis for this? A, Hinduism. B, Buddhism. C. Taoism, or D. Confucianism? All right, the answer is letter D. Confucianism by Confucius. Basta religious, natural, pagka-religyoso nato, makita na it is being adopted in a school that is coming from Confucianism. Is letter D. Number 40. Teacher G puts so much significance on values development and discipline. What could be her educational philosophy? What is the answer? Teacher G puts so much significance on values development and discipline. What could be her educational philosophy? Realism, idealism, pragmatism, or progressivism? The answer here is idealism. Values formation is idealism because the learners want to, the learners want to imitate a teacher doing. So dapat si teacher dapat role model. Kay si teacher has the knowledge. Therefore, the teacher must be a role model of that knowledge, and of course, in behavior. So modeling also is there in idealism. The ideal teacher must possess a good or desirable values so that the learners will be able to imitate you. So the teachers must try to do their best of their ability to be better in the field. Okay, that is idealism. 41. What philosophy is related to the practice of schools acting as laboratory for teaching reforms and experimentation? It's very obvious there in our item number 41. A. Realism, idealism, pragmatism, or D. Progressivism? What is the answer? We let our students do experimentation in a laboratory. Masama na siya. May tubag. Experimentation ha. When students do experimentation, they discover. Correct. It is progressivism. Progressivism is discovery learning, and activity for that is through experimentation or laboratory work. Correct is letter D, progressivism. Take note. 42. Mr. Cruz was very much worried about the thumb sucking of his son. A friend of him says that certain is among infants. Who presented that notion that certain behavior like thumb sucking is a normal behavior? A. Erickson, B. Bandura, C. Freud, D. Pavlov. Thumb sucking, ha? Thumb sucking. What is the answer? The answer is all right. Letter C. It's Sigmund Freud. No, Erik Erikson is psychosocial. Bandura is social learning theory. Pavlov is classical conditioning. So that is under Sigmund Freud. Okay. Next is 43. Which of the following is likely to be developed if infants are shown genuine affection? A. Trust. B. Autonomy. C. Initiative. D. Guilt. What is the answer? The answer is trusts. Okay? When we had our session this morning, we had this discussion on Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory, wherein trust, if there's a genuine affection to the bata, and then of course autonomy, and then initiative, industry, and then generativity versus stagnation. Okay. Next item, 44. Which of these technologies are arranged from the most symbolic to multisensory? A. Real objects, print, audiovisual materials, and visual materials. B. Visual materials, audio, print, and computers. C. Visual materials, print, audiovisual material, and realia. Or letter G. Print, audio, visual materials, and computers. Correct. The answer is letter D. Because from symbolic print, meaning the words, to multisensory, and computers are multisensory devices. Correct, letter D. 45. Miss Cruz was hired in a well-equipped school, but she has to start preparing her instructional materials before classes begin. Which of the following is a systematic process in preparing her materials? A. Design, utilization, evaluation, development. B. Design, development, utilization, evaluation. C. Development, design, utilization, evaluation. B. Development, utilization, evaluation. The answer is, of course, our instructional materials must start from designing. We prepare first, we structure first our plan, our instructional materials. We plan, we design. After that one, you develop. And then there is an action phase, utilization. And after you utilize, there is evaluation. Is letter B. 46. Brunner's theory on intellectual development moves from inactive to iconic and symbolic stages. In which stages are diagrams helpful to accompany verbal information? Diagrams like graphic organizers, flowchart. Okay. A, inactive and iconic. B, symbolic. C, inactive. Or D, the answer is letter B, symbolic. Correct. You got it right. They are participants. 47. The phase of a curriculum development, which involves a survey of the current needs of the learners and the demands of society, is curriculum. A, planning. B, evaluation. C, organization. D, implementation. It is, first thing is, you do survey the needs of the learners and demands of the society in order that you can come up with a design. All right, the answer is doing survey is under planning. At one, you organize the data to come up with accurate data for you to design and do development of your program. So it's planning. 48, it is centered on the experiences, interests, and abilities of students. A, perennialism. B, essential. C, pragmatism. Or D, progressivism. The answer is, all right, you got it right, Ma'am Ivy. The answer is progressivism. Okay, progressivism ang tubag. 49. Which of the following statement is correct about the domains of educational technology? A, design is the production stage while development is the planning stage. Or letter B, both the design and development are planning stage. C, evaluation is synonymous with implementation. Letter D, utilization is the action phase. Correct. You got it right. This is just a review what we had this morning. The answer is utilization is the action phase. Design is not a production. Okay. So last item. The teacher serves as a guide, a demonstrator who has full mastery of the knowledge of the realities of life. The knowledge is derived from sense experience. A, perennialism. B, essentialism. C, realism. D, idealism. Okay, you got it right. Answer is realism. All right, and that concludes my discussion for this evening. I only prepared 50 items for tonight. Okay, because from morning until this afternoon and evening, ay, ginawa na mo. Non-stop ang ako ang lecture for all of you. All right.